This is the Lotus Emira, and no, it's not a baby version of the all-electric Evora hypercar, nor is it a direct replacement of the beloved Elise. Nope, the Emira is a new mid-engine sports car built on a brand new production platform that seems to adopt certain characteristics from the aging Evora and Exige V6. The good news is it'll be offered with a V6 engine and a manual gearbox, and it won't cost an arm and a leg either. So here are 5 things you need to know about the Emira, but before we get into the list, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more awesome videos just like this one. It might not be an electric car, but the Emira certainly looks a whole lot like the Evora. The front end is almost a complete clone of the electric hypercar, albeit with softer edges around the central strakes in the bumper. It even carries over the Evora's bonnet vents that make the car look a little bit like a snake. It's the same story at the side of the car too, featuring a smaller version of the vents around the rear wheel arches. The major differences can be seen at the back of the car. As the Emira is a good old-fashioned piston-powered car, it gets a twin exhaust system that protrudes from the chunky diffuser. And if you squint a bit, the Emira's back end looks a bit like that of the Maserati MC20. All cars will sit on 20-inch wheels complete with Goodyear F1 tyres, though you can upgrade to a set of sticky Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s as an optional extra. The Emira's beautiful bodywork covers a bonded aluminium chassis similar to that of the outgoing Elise. However, Lotus stresses the Emira's underpinnings are brand new and is even put together at its new facility in Norwich. The Emira tips the scales at 1,405 kilograms. On paper, that sounds somewhat portly, especially for a Lotus, but the company says the quoted figure is the EU DIN weight, which not only takes into account the weight of the fluids, but it also adds 75 kilograms for passengers and cargo. Besides, modern safety standards can make cars very heavy, so the Emira is still relatively lightweight. The car will come with 2 different suspension setups. The standard Tour setup slackens the suspension for a more comfortable ride, while the optional Lotus Driver's Pack stiffens the dampers for a bit more feedback. And best of all, it comes with hydraulic power steering instead of an electric rack, which is the industry standard. Hydraulic power steering can be more energy intensive, but typically provides greater feedback compared to an electric system, so the Emira should be as sweet to drive as it is to look at. And remember, this isn't just a new generation Lotus Elise. That means there's a lot more to the interior than just spot welds and a clip-on Alpine radio. The big news here is that the Emira comes with a pair of screens, a 10.25-inch infotainment system in the centre of the dashboard and a 12.3-inch panel serving as the virtual cockpit. Lotus claims it'll be using its own in-house design software for the screens, though most people will probably just use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both available for free on the Emira. The cabin itself looks surprisingly airy. Lotus says it wants the Emira to work as an everyday supercar, with the glass area designed to provide good visibility, and there's also plenty of storage options throughout for long road trips. Also, if you go for the manual car, you'll be able to see the gear mechanism as a nod to the Elise and Exige. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The Emira will be available with 2 very different engines, starting with a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder motor sourced from Mercedes-AMG. While Lotus hasn't said which model it comes from, we'd bet it has been plucked from the AMG A45 S. In the British sports car, it'll produce 360 horsepower and will likely be hooked up to an 8-speed dual-clutch gearbox. We say likely as Lotus has listed a bunch of transmissions without attributing them to an engine, and the AMG-sourced box for the 2-litre should be the same as the one found in the A45 S. Engine number 2 is the much-loved 3.5-litre supercharged V6 that can be traced back to the decade-old Evora. Built by Toyota and found in a bunch of mundane machinery such as the Camry, the 6-cylinder motor has one of the most evocative soundtracks to come from a production car, and in the Emira it will produce 400 horsepower. Lotus confirms it'll come with a manual or automatic gearbox and will likely be 6 speeds as they were in the old Evora. Peak torque is quoted at 430 Nm, likely from the turbocharged 2-litre unit, while the quoted 180 mph top speed should be achievable with the 6-cylinder car. Lotus claims it'll go from 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds. Again, it doesn't say which car will crack it, but we assume it'll be the lighter 2-litre model. Luckily, the Emira isn't some ultra-exclusive supercar with a high 6-figure price tag. The range kicks off at £60,000 for the 2-litre model, and we expect the punchier 3.5-litre supercharged V6 car to enter in at the £70,000 to £80,000 mark. That means it'll fill the gap between the Porsche Cayman and 911, with other rivals likely to include the Alpine A110 and Toyota GR Supra. Orders are open now, with deliveries due to get underway next spring, but in the meantime you can find all the latest car news and reviews at yesauto.co.uk.